up, everybody? Welcome back to Rings and Headaches. Thank you so much for watching. And today we're talking about a viral story about a permission slip in Florida. So one thing DeSantis has been big on is advocating for parental rights. Now, advocating for parental rights in general is something that I would support, but when it gets to the specifics, there's just a lot of things that he stands for that I cannot support, a lot of things that are very racist. He really takes some what would otherwise be decent ideas to an extreme. That's really, in my opinion, his governorship in a nutshell. I heard about this last week and then I found this article about it from the Washington Post. A controversial parental rights law in Florida is facing renewed scrutiny after a rule about parental permission slips sparked confusion at a Miami elementary school when it asked parents to sign a slip allowing their children to hear a guest speaker read a book written by an African American. Now, before I go any further, in reading this Washington Post article, they consistently mention the word confusion. They don't even bring up any concerns about racism. That part genuinely concerns me. That's the whole reason we're having the discussion. That's the whole reason it's an issue. Now, people who have defended this law have argued that legislation does not require these permissions say anything about the race of the individual. Essentially, these laws in Florida require schools to have permission slips for any activity that basically differs from the approved curriculum. Proponents of these laws that have responded to this story have argued that nothing in the legislation actually requires you to reveal the race of the author, the guest speaker, etc. And I just want to respond to that because, yes, the legislation may not clearly spell that out, but honestly, DeSantis has created a particular environment that I feel like would make people feel like they have to specify things like that. He has talked about race a lot. I understand wanting to stand up to things like CRT. I understand wanting to reject any type of curriculum that has anti-white messaging. But he wants kids to be taught that slavery wasn't that bad and taught useful skills. Teaching white people that the suffering of other racial groups is no big deal is something I take serious issue with. And frankly, if you don't, I would urge you to reconsider that position. To argue that something like that is not racist is absolutely absurd. So, to be clear, you cannot target a particular racial group without being racist. That's actually just what that is. I've also seen people use this same argument ever since those stories started coming out, justifying or at least minimizing the Holocaust. I'm sorry, when it comes to things like the Holocaust or slavery, I can understand taking stories of inspiration from those incredibly difficult, painful times. But we really don't have to minimize what people went through in those circumstances. That's not necessary. That's a choice. That is a choice that we're making. So when it comes to the individual who wrote this permission slip, no, they may not have been following the letter of the law in including that note about race. But I honestly think they were doing what they thought was required based on the environment and the tone that has been set by the DeSantis administration. So even if the law doesn't technically require this, I still think that this whole situation was a major problem that could have been avoided. I think this whole situation is something that Florida has set itself up for. I think we're gonna see more stories like this. Even aside from this particular issue regarding the race of the author being put on the permission slip, a lot of parents are complaining about the policies now that they're being put in place because they're getting permission slips for every freaking thing. It's literally the big government red tape that conservatives constantly warn us about, which is hilarious. But anyways, if you are in Florida, what do you think of these policies? Have you received a bunch of permission slips? Do you think they're a good or bad idea? Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, half this video, or even just a quarter of this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe.